We learned some things that Kirby told us about this Georgia Bulldogs team. Injuries galore, as well as some health, as well as some tidbits of how he coaches this team to look for the national championship next on Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I am Clint. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. More on them in a second. We're glad you're here today. The everyday listeners that are on this podcast, the loyal third segment listeners that listen all the way to the end, the people who are with us and for us. Thank you for making us your first listen. Everydayers, we appreciate you so much. Today's episode is going to be like this. This is how it's going to go. Kirby Smart talked to the press. He gave us a bunch of tidbits of information about his coaching style, about players on this current team, their injury or lack thereof, and how he prepares for recruiting as well as in-season management. A couple things that we want to talk about, the tidbits of information that we need to get to. And so I'm going to start here. It's really phenomenal. If you listen to Kirby Smart's presser, we've long on this podcast, if Daniel was here, he'd be saying the same thing. Long on this podcast have said, you have to speak Kurbanese. Kurbanese is a unique language. He tells you what you want, or what he wants you to hear. Not what you want to hear, but what he wants you to hear. He doesn't lie. He never, ever lies. He never deceives. He just gives you the truth that he wants to give out. That's it. He doesn't give you more than you deserve. And as somebody who's not on the team, guess what? We don't deserve to know what the guys in the locker room know, what the coaching staff knows. It's not because Kirby's trying to play games, as he says today, as one illustrious reporter cannot help themselves from asking time and time again. He doesn't do that. What he does is he tells it like it is, because he's running a program that is incredible. We love the program. We love what's going on, and he is that dude. So can we, for a hot minute, for a hot second, learn some Kurbanese, get back and talk about it. Now, I want to talk about his coaching strategy, and I'm going to talk about injuries in the second segment. So come on back for that. In the third segment, loyal listeners are going to let you know how he recruits and how he manages in-season players, because it's vastly important. But one of the things that I heard him say and how he coaches and his coaching philosophy, one of the things that Kirby said is he was asked a question. And it was by Chip Towers. And again, I don't know what more this guy needs. I literally don't know what other things you need than to hear from Kirby. He even says, I bet I'm going to catch bullets for this, or something along those lines. He's asked Kirby, what about suspension of ETN? Now, this is the reality. He was suspended for game 1. Period. He dressed, he went with the whole team, he practiced, he had to go ahead and get ready for it. He dressed out, he warmed up, and he did not play. He was on the sidelines watching a freshman come for his job. Point 1. That's a lot to go through. So for all the people who are saying Georgia doesn't do anything, Georgia has done more than your team, and Google it. Google is free. Go Google the arrests at your school. Kirby takes care of it internally. Just because you don't know about it, Chip, doesn't mean that you have the right to know about it. And he says, Kirby, are you not telling us because of gamemanship? That's what he asked him. Are you not telling us suspensions because, come week 3, you're going to have to start divulging injury reports and telling us availability of players? Is this for gamesmanship? That's a question. And Kirby looks at him and he goes, no, it's not gamesmanship. I don't care about, I don't have time for that. I have time for the guys that are in the locker room with me day in, day out. And he says, the reason I don't comment on it, and then he pivots. And I love how Kirby does this. Kirby answers you a question, and then he, inside of the answer, digs at you if he doesn't like what you're doing, and he answers what he wants you to know. He said, when recruits and their families come in, they tell me they respect the way that I handle situations like this because their kids get drugged through the mud too much. And for me, it's because these are kids and their families. It's not for me to talk on. It's their own personal business. It's for our personal business. It's for us in-house to take care of. They don't need me talking about them outside. And isn't that what a good coach does? He's not hiding anything. He took care of it. I saw ETN on the sideline. You and I saw a wide receiver not part of Georgia today. Not playing this game, not suit up, not be there. Although so many other charges dismissed against a lot of other players, taken care of, out. Kirby has handled it. He's kicked kids off teams, suspended them, held them out without a game, and he doesn't need to tell you anything. And he doesn't do it because he's trying to get a gamesmanship one up on old Dabo. He's doing it because these are kids and he cares about them and their families and he cares about them. I know you don't, reporters. You don't care about them. You care about getting your name out there. That's what you care about. Kirby cares for these kids. And that was absolutely incredible, man. He also says, they respect how I handle it because they know I'm going to take care of their kids. They know I'm going to take care of their sons. They know I'm going to look after them like they would if they were here. That was incredible to me. The second thing that Kirby said, which was like a benefit and then kind of a dig at the same time, talking about all the freshmen that played. Kirby said, yeah, a couple of them got punched in the mouth. A couple of them, KJ did great. A couple of them got punched in the mouth and it was bad. And then he goes on to say, if you're playing freshmen, it's not good if you have to play freshmen. Now, that's wild because we have this incredible ability to play freshmen because we're so talented and we have the opportunity. And Kirby's saying it's not good, and yet he's doing it. Why is that the case? Two things can be true at the same time. He understands KJ Bolden is a dude who has played lots of football. He said he's played more football than most people I know. He's been playing since 6 in Atlanta. He's incredible. What he is saying is, yeah, our freshmen aren't the same as your freshmen. If you're playing freshmen, watch out. The risk involved in playing young guys is they get popped in the mouth and they don't know how to respond because SEC play is a lot different. This follows up on the other presser that Kirby gave this week, talking about inside linebackers, outside linebackers, cross training, and how NFL scouts are coming to him and saying, Kirby, we like how you prepare because your guys can't just be space players. Your guys have to be able to do power run and take on somebody on the outside, tackle, tight end, and not just play in space. Your guys are different, and you guys cross train, talking about Jalen and the rest of them. And the same thing here. Kirby Smart is telling you what he needs to know. We're going to talk back after this. I'm going to let you know about a couple injury reports that he brought up and why it's very, very exciting news for us and Bulldog fans. But first, this. This is, in fact, eBay Motors. eBay Motors is fantastic. Daniel, my co-host, and I, we love eBay Motors. We have cars that need maintenance and need taken care of because it's easy to do with eBay Motors. They have millions of parts for your MVP, whether it's exterior, interior, performance, appearance, care, maintenance, upgrade, and performance. eBay Motors has the right parts for you. And if you put in the year, make, model of your car into the garage, eBay is going to guarantee that the part that you find over there, the millions of parts for your MVP at the right price, is going to fit your car. And if it doesn't, guess what? They're going to take care of it by getting you the right part, getting your money back to you. eBay Motors, millions of parts for your MVP. Get over there right now. Exclusions apply. Guaranteed fit only. Available for U.S. customers. eBay Motors, millions of parts for your MVP. Kirby gave us an update on some injuries. We want to talk about that now. And the injuries are as follows. He said that coming into the office, which is wild to me. Oh, we're going to follow up one other thing because it has to do with this segment of Kirby's coaching acumen and what he does, which I found really, really wild, actually. He said that Aguero is back at work. Brinson's back at work. McLeod back at work. And he said probably the guy that is doing the best out of those, Hall, is flying around the field. He's a different dude in the rehab game. He's flying around. He's getting to the facility before anybody else. Warren Brinson, that's a great sign to see Brinson getting back into action. Jordan Hall, Aguero, and McLeod, because we talked about this. This is the perfect time for Georgia Bulldogs to get right and get healthy. It's wild to me because the defensive line did a great job manhandling the experienced offensive line for Clemson. Not great, but experienced offensive line for Clemson. And a running back, Maffa, who is very good. I was impressed with him. He was exactly what I thought he was going to be. The defensive line needs depth. We need to get healthy because we're about to run a gauntlet. Yes, we don't have much of a test this Saturday. I get it. I understand. Kentucky, again, if you saw what they did, they played admirably. They played all right. There were a couple of explosive plays. But we're about to get into the teeth of this, in which we have bye week, we have Bama, we have Texas coming up, and our defensive line needs to get ready and get going. They can't just be healthy, can't just hold them out. Many people, Michael Williams, probably not going to play this game, might be back for Kentucky. We'll see. He didn't update us exactly on that. We understand that likely we were spared the worst of it, but knowing that these defensive line players, I think, is the most important aspect. We have linebackers that are fast and intellectual, again, which Kirby said. We're going to get to those in a second. He said, you have to be those two things, but you have to have defensive linemen that keep guys off of you and are disruption. the absolute disruptors in the run game and the pass game. The defensive line had a havoc rate that was much better this game than it was in the average of last year. The average last year was down. We nearly doubled the average of havoc rate plays that the defensive line had, which is great news for you and I because we have linebackers that can fly over the top. So getting Hall, getting Brinson, getting McLeod back would add to that depth, and then you're going to need to rotate with everybody else. They had Ingram Dawkins, Kristen Miller are good, and I'm so happy they're here. Chaz as well on that defensive line. He really is more of an in than he is outside backer. I know he is edge and outside backer, but he really sets the edge, and he sometimes floats in space, but he is somebody that's trying to take that edge, surf down, and spill it to these very fast linebackers. Let's get to the other things that Kirby said during this time. So those are the injuries we heard. Aguero is probably likely going to play. Hall, Brinson, likely good to go. And then he said in this, somebody asked about film during this segment as well. And Kirby said, I haven't seen the film since Saturday night. That game is gone. This is wild to me. And he made it a point to say it based upon, hey, did you see how well these players played? And Kirby says, I don't care how well they played. That operative term, how well they did, past tense, gone, done, over, next. It's wild to me because Kirby watched film Saturday night and then said Sunday, woke up, let's get some rehab in. Let me go to my office. Let me see Hall and Brinson and McLeod and Aguero out there practicing, getting better, getting on the field, running around. That's what I want to see because we play the players that practice well. Practice is everything. He follows up from the previous presser in which he said, hey, look, 85% of snaps are going to come in practice, or 98% of snaps are going to come in practice, 2% going to come in games. I want to see the guys practicing and repping and see how they're doing. What he was saying is, I don't give a flying you-know-what about how we did do. I care about what we will do and what we're doing today. Kirby lives in the moment, and it's so much fun to see. I love seeing Kirby Smart coach for moments, not rest on his laurels, which is the best that anybody can say of a coach. You have to take accountability and losses. You have to understand. You have to evaluate and come back. Kirby's already truly moving on. Like not watching film and not having the guys watch it since Saturday night. That's unique to Kirby. That's really unique to Kirby as he's doing film study and he's looking forward to, which is really wild to me. The second thing he said in the segment as well, he says that linebackers need to have a different skill set. We need fast, speed, and intellect. Speed and intellect. Speed and intellect. If you're ever wondering how Kirby Smart's going to recruit from here on out, the game has changed and Kirby is changing with it. It used to be size. He said size and speed. You can be big and fast and get the job done. He says, not anymore. You have to be fast and smart. Raylan Wilson, welcome to the party. This is why Raylan Wilson is, in fact, up there with the most snaps for inside linebackers and what he's going to do. I love that we have a fast, intellectual, smart linebacking core that's going to be absolutely bananas for us every single game this entire season. We're going to come back after this. I'm going to let you know a little bit more about what Kirby said, a little kind of notes that cleaned up and the interaction he had with the press. But first, this. And this is, in fact, FanDuel, FanDuel.com. This is the official Locked On Bulldogs sports book. We love them. We're over there all the time. Daniel and I are placing the bets. We do lock segment on Thursday. So come back to that tomorrow. Get some locks in on this action. You've heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We have a little something different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers get if you bet $5, get 3 weeks free of NFL Sunday Ticket, YouTube, and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon game out of market. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel.com. It's really wild to me as Kirby was updating us on injuries and giving us intellect into his coaching acumen and how he handles that. It's really wild to me because I want to now talk about his recruiting ability. Kirby not only handles things really, really well in season, but it's how he recruits preseason and during the season. It doesn't stop. He talked about if you play freshmen, it's a problem, meaning I need experienced guys, which is quite wild to me. Not talking about suspensions because we handle that in-house because these kids and their families care about that. Moves on from Phil study. He is always asking guys to take care of the next thing. He wants practice to matter more than game, which is true of any Kirby-led team. But what I think is really, really wild is that if you listen to Raylan Wilson, if you listen to what he does, if you listen to these cats that are being recruited elsewhere, many people will say to Kirby, is this really working? Is this really football? Is this really what's going on? Yes. Raylan Wilson asked about playing time. Y'all, anybody ever asks you about playing time? Anybody ever asks you about playing time? And you ask Kirby about it. If you want to show yourself how to not be a program builder, but to be a one-hit wonder, talk about playing time. Raylan Wilson says it's not about playing time or playing early. It's about development. Being on the field is a product of the development. That's, y'all. Do you hear what for first game? See Allen and Smile London. Okay, come on through. Bowles even. We're going to see dudes play. Justin Williams. Oh my gosh. I just couldn't with that dude. and what they're bringing to the table. If you want to know how these guys stay at Georgia, come to Georgia, stay at Georgia, and develop at Georgia, it's for this right here. If I want to play, guess what? I'm not going to go to the coach. I'm not going to whine. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say, hey, if you don't, I have other offers elsewhere. Kirby Smart will say, fine, take the offers. Dumas Johnson, Vandegrift, go, Bear, go. I don't know what to tell you. If you have the opportunity and you want that opportunity, go elsewhere. I'm here to develop guys. I'm here to build them up. I'm here to make them something. Raylan Wilson knows, and that's why he's still at Georgia, and that's why he's going to still being at Georgia, and that's why even with CJ Allen and Smile London coming back, he had the most explosive plays, high rate, and eye-popping numbers. Kirby Smart does not care about playing time. If you care about playing time, Kirby Smart doesn't want you around. Because if you cared about playing time, you know what you'd be doing? Grinding in practice. You heard him say it. This is the Kurbanese. This is the 2+2. You got to kind of make connections a little bit. He said, practice is where you get 98% of snaps. I care about not studying film of what was before. If you come to Kirby and say, Kirby, I played really well in the game, coach. Coach, you see this game? See how good I did? Kirby's going to look at you and say, means nothing to me. What means something to me is today, will you go out and will you practice hard today? That's what he'll say. And I don't have to guess. I don't have to speculate. I don't have to do any of that. What we know from Kirby's practice and what he is saying himself, the Kurbanese, is this. If you want to get developed, if you want to go play, if you want to get paid, if you want to do all those things, if you want to go have fun on Saturdays, go compete against somebody else, hit helmets with somebody else that's not Georgia red and black. Show me you can grind every day in practice. And it's not a coachism. It's not gamesmanship. Kirby, I swear, when he told Chip, don't put words in my mouth, Chip said, you told ESPN that Etienne was suspended. He said, I didn't tell her that. Well, that's what she said. You said, oh my gosh, Chip. How embarrassing for a grown man. That's what she said. You said. Isn't that what we did in like grade school or something like that? Kirby says, don't put words in my mouth. He's not lying. Guys, when he says I care about practice, I care about 98% of reps being in practice and taking that down and showing guys that wanted to get developed, want to play, that he means it. Guys, he truly and honestly means it. I'm here for it because you see the crop. You see these freshmen. You see SEC play. You see guys coming out and getting better. And the only reason they get better is because the coaching staff is hard on them Sunday through Friday. That's when it's important. Not Saturday when the game hits. You perform then, but you prepare elsewhere. I think Kirby's presser was already 100% up to speed of midseason form. It's fantastic. And the last thing that he said, a little cleanup, he says, a film study as well. He says, I go back and I look at all the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 and all the explosive plays from the conference. Y'all, we pass over this. We look at the injury news. Okay, Brinson. Okay, Hall. Okay, Aguero. Okay, we'll go. Kirby says, I look at film of 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and explosive plays. I want to stop explosive plays. So I want to see everybody in conference, what they did explosive plays. And I want to get context for 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. I want to know if I should be making the calls. He's bettering himself as a coach through film study. You know what I'm saying? Like he is getting to the point where he is saying, I watch these instances not so I can gain an upper hand on the opponent, so I can gain an upper hand on myself. And that is a coach that anybody wants to play for. Those are the details. That's the preparation that is just so fantastic about Kirby Smart and the rest of this team. I am Clint. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Daniel will be back. We'll be doing locks, and then Friday we're going to Be Excited, Nervous, Don't Sleep on in time for Saturday. And then Saturday we're going to have a post-game reaction show where we talk about all the things that Georgia did. Come back for that. Your team every single day. We'll see you guys then.